You hear this sound every single day. A sound of closing, of sealing, of making things secure. But the story behind that sound isn't one of brilliant invention. It's a story of complete, catastrophic failure. So let's zip open the history of this everyday marvel.
Yeah, that sound. It's the sound of your backpack closing as you head out the door. The sound of a tent sealing you in, safe from the wind. It's a sound we take so completely for granted, right? But what you're hearing is actually one of the most elegant engineering solutions in modern history.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. More successful than the wheel? The engine? It's a seriously bold claim, but there's a really good reason for it. This little device is literally everywhere. In fact, I'd be willing to bet there's one on your body right now.
But long before it conquered the world, the zipper was an absolute disaster. For nearly 20 years, this invention didn't just fail, it was actually hated. To understand why, we've got to go back in time and understand the sheer frustration of the world it was born into. Okay, so picture this. It's 1890. Getting dressed isn't simple. It's a battle. Just your shoes have dozens of tiny buttons that you have to painstakingly pull through stiff leather with a special steel hook. We're talking a 15-minute ordeal just for your boots, every single morning.
So yeah, people were crying out for a solution. Even the great Elias Howe, the father of the sewing machine, he patented a kind of fastener way back in 1851, but he just abandoned it. You know why? He knew the geometry was just too difficult. So he went back to making sewing machines and left this impossible problem for someone else to solve.
And that someone was Whitcomb Judson, an inventor from Chicago. And he was, like so many others, just completely fed up with buttoning his own boots. So at the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, he unveiled his big creation, the Clasp Locker. It was meant to be revolutionary. Instead, it became a total laughingstock.
You can see the problems right here. The basic physics were just working against him. His design was a rigid chain of individual hooks and eyes, but with only 4 teeth per inch, it had no give. It was like wearing a steel rod on your shoe. The moment you'd try to walk, the leather would flex, the hooks would twist, and pop! The whole thing would just burst open. Oh, and to make it all worse, it rusted, destroying the very clothes it was meant to help. The result was a complete commercial catastrophe. His company sold a grand total of 20 units, not 20,000, 20. And you can bet most of those were returned by some very angry customers. The dream of an automatic fastener was over. The invention was a joke, a failed gimmick that cost people money and ruined their shoes. For 10 long years, the concept was just completely dead in the water.
But the failing company needed a miracle, and they found it in a young Swedish electrical engineer named Gideon Sundback. Now, Sundback wasn't a fashion guy, he was an efficiency expert. He looked at the Clasp Locker not as a fastener, but as what it really was, a geometry problem that needed to be solved.
And here was Sundback's big breakthrough. He realized hooks were the enemy. A hook is rigid, it snags, it bends, it breaks. So he just deleted the hook entirely. In its place, he designed this brilliant little nesting cup, a tooth with a small dimple on top and a hollow on the bottom. It wasn't a static lock anymore, it was a dynamic joint, able to swivel and move, kind of like the ball and socket joint in your shoulder. Then he tackled the second problem, stress. Judson's design put all the pressure on one single hook. So Sundback, as you can see here, more than doubled the density to 10 teeth per inch. And that meant the stress was no longer focused on one point. It was spread evenly across 10, making the whole thing both fluid and incredibly strong.
But those brilliant teeth are totally useless without their guide. The true unsung hero of the zipper is the slider. That tiny piece of metal is an absolute masterpiece of precision engineering designed to do one thing perfectly: align and lock those nesting cups.
So let's break down how this little marvel works. As you pull up, a Y-shaped channel guides the teeth together, and its outer walls force them to lock at a perfect 45-degree angle. And I mean perfect. If that angle is off by even 2 degrees, the whole thing just jams. When you pull down, a central wedge forces them apart. This geometry creates a bond so strong that it actually gets tighter the more you pull on it from the sides. So, Sundback had perfected the design, but another huge challenge remained: perfecting the making of the zipper. And this is where our story shifts from America to Japan and to 3 letters you've seen thousands of times: YKK.
YKK stands for Yoshida Kogyo Kabushiki Kaisha. It was founded in 1934 by Taro Yoshida. Now, this company didn't invent the zipper, but they perfected how to manufacture it. Yoshida had this unique philosophy he called the cycle of goodness, and it led him to an equally unique business strategy: total control.
Yoshida just didn't trust outside suppliers. He believed the only way to ensure perfect quality was to do everything yourself. And I mean everything. YKK smelts its own brass for the teeth. They weave their own fabric tape. They dye their own materials. They even make their own cardboard shipping boxes. This extreme control means they manage every single variable, and the result is a product with unparalleled reliability, a zipper that almost never fails.
And the results really do speak for themselves. Today, YKK makes and sells half. That's right, half of all the zippers on planet Earth. Every other company in the world has to fight for the other half of the market.
The scale of this is almost impossible to imagine. Every single year, YKK factories produce 7 billion zippers. That's nearly one zipper for every single person on the planet, every single year. But you know, the ultimate test of this incredible device isn't on your jeans or your jacket. It's in the most hostile environment known to us, the vacuum of space.
When NASA was designing the spacesuits for the Apollo missions, they couldn't exactly use buttons. They needed a perfect, airtight seal. So they turned to a highly specialized version called a pressure sealing zipper. Here, the interlocking teeth are actually wrapped in rubber. As the slider closes, it squeezes that rubber together, creating a seal so perfect that not a single molecule of oxygen can escape.
That same basic mechanism that started out as a clumsy boot fastener became the critical piece of life support that protected the first men on the moon from the vacuum of space: the zipper.
It's just an incredible 20-year engineering journey. It's a testament to the idea that failure is never the end of the story. It's just a data point on the path to the perfect solution. So the next time you hear that sound, remember the century of engineering that made it possible.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other simple objects that we touch every single day have a hidden history of failure, genius, and mind-bending physics just waiting to be discovered?